Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. Today, we're joined by a very good friend of mine and longtime contact, Geoffrey Volpatti, who is the Vice President of Revenue Management, Product and Commercial Services at Accor. Geoffrey, I just want to say you have become one of my clients that has the longest job title. So we've known each other for a number of years now. So I think I knew you when you were a director of revenue, and now, hey, the big guy on campus. So how are you doing?
Definitely by title length, I'm winning. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, thank you for your congratulations. Yes, it's been a journey since we've met, and
Sure.
yeah, still with Accor and happy to have the longest title in history of revenue management.
Very well put. Very well put. Of course, for anybody that has known the channel from its inception, actually, Geoffrey was one of the first people to actually come on the show when we were able to do things face to face back in the November of 2019. So this is going to be less of a, I suppose, an opportunity to learn more about Geoffrey, but more of an opportunity to understand, what's changed and what we're seeing going forward. So I suppose, Geoffrey, a really interesting question. Rather than looking at the negatives and things that have happened within the industry, I really want to sort of focus on the positives. And obviously, with the disruption that's come with the pandemic, it has brought opportunity for positive change. And as you are, a pretty senior member within a large corporate brand at the moment, what positives has Accor, I suppose, benefited from this pandemic? And I suppose, what do you see going forward for the brand?
Well, the quick win, I would say, for the company over the last 15 months now, 14 months, whatever it was, it's to reaffirm the strengths and the benefits of using Accor, being within Accor network.
Sure.
We've increased the number of hotels we're servicing, not only in the UK, but globally, or not even in Northern Europe, but globally. And we're seeing more partners being more interested in our services, and more selfishly, as revenue management, commercial initiatives, we see more people putting value in our work, which all of a sudden, despite the fact that there's very low levels of occupancy or very low level of demands, people start to see, start is maybe not the right word, but actually people see the value we bring in terms of strategy, initiatives, and distributions, and how all of a sudden, even when you're not reaching more than 15% occupancy, it's all important. So that for me is one of the quick win of the big success we need to continue and make last longer over the coming months and years, hopefully. But yeah, that's the positive we saw into that.
I suppose it's one of these things, isn't it, where it's sort of a reevaluation, looking at what you've done brilliantly, but also where the gaps are, and having that opportunity to really fix those things. I suppose on the back of that, in terms of the challenges that you've sort of faced, I suppose from a commercial perspective, but also from an operational, human sort of perspective in terms of your employees, people within the business, what have you seen to be the biggest challenges from your sort of viewpoint, I suppose?
You know, it doesn't show, but I've been in the industry for quite some time. And I've never managed an entire region, let alone a country or a continent that doesn't go above 20% of occupancy without crying every day. And it became the new norm. It's like you would have a percent more occupancy over a week, and it's literally source of celebrations. So that mentality was actually a very huge struggle for everyone, because all of a sudden you don't see the money coming in, and you're like, how are we going to survive? It's fine for a few weeks, a few months. You say, okay, we're big enough to hold it. 15 months down the road, we're still here, but it's about time it starts again. So that's obviously commercially, I'm not sure how everyone is living it, but I'm pretty sure it's been tough for everyone. Now, on the human level perspective, you're right. That's obviously when you don't see the money coming in, the first fear you have is for your job, or your job of your team, or or what the organization in general. And the pressure has been on everyone, and it's been a continuous effort, especially as you don't see these people face to face, and it's always just like today through the camera, that you can only share your message. it's very difficult. I'm really proud of the fact that within the RM team in Accor, we didn't have any casualties. Let's put it this way. We didn't have to make cuts. We didn't have to be harsh in terms of the restructuring. And obviously we use furlough like everyone else, don't get me wrong, but to a certain extent only. The team has been working full back on for the last 6 months now. And that working process is a big shift in mentality. People also have now a different perspective of what their job is, of on what the market situation is, and grateful as well. But also I am very grateful for the company to allow us to do that, because we see the value in the job we're doing. But it's been harsh. I mean, mental health is a real struggle for the industry, I think, at the moment, and it cannot be underestimated, because we're still not out of the wood. No. We're all hoping for a big reveal on the 17th, but we know it's going to take weeks, potentially months. And what's next, I'm not sure. And we're going to be suffering for quite some time. So we're not completely out of the wood. And this anxiety level on people's personal life, because you don't know what's next really, and the money starts to run out at some point, is going to be a lot of pressure to handle. But so far, the team has been strong. We have a lot of perspective of development, a lot of new initiatives, as I said, new hotels coming on, and hopefully we will be able to surf on that for a few years.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of these things where I know obviously you and I have spoken about this on a couple of occasions, and it's that, I suppose, that human element or that anxiety element where a lot of people were just waiting for a phone call. If they're on furlough, they were just waiting for that day where their phone was going to ring, and it wasn't to say, hey, let's have a catch up. It was going to be to say, look, I just wanted to let you know you were going to receive a letter. The fact that you guys have been in that fortunate position of being able to stay strong and stick by your people, which has been amazing, whereas a lot of other brands, as we know, have not been as fortunate. I suppose from your perspective, has there been a particular focus in terms of trying to keep your people motivated in terms of the people that are working, but then trying to stay in contact and keeping those people, I suppose, their mindsets in the right place? Has there been a particular focus? And if so, what went on that?
Very strong focus. And I never thought I would say that on the podcast or the webcast, but I've developed amazing skills at quizzes and quiz mastering.
Right.
I can't stand the quiz anymore, but apparently they were quite popular. But no, you're beyond the joke of the quiz. It's been a real focus. Definitely, it's been a real focus. Engaging as much as possible, keeping that touch. Again, in the revenue management, unfortunately, the separation hasn't been too long, and it's gone since October last year. But I know for other team in the organization, in the sales team, for example, that people haven't worked for a year, and also coming back to work after a year. There's a real program to accompany them and to look at how we ease that in, because we called back all our forces now just to make sure we're ready for a potential demand uplift. But it's been a real engagement from the company in general to make sure there were regular updates, engagement level per team leader, per department head. But it is important, because you still have to understand that you're part of something, although you haven't seen your office desk for a year, or that you haven't talked to anyone face to face. And when I say face to face, where you can poke in the nose, although we don't do that normally, even in non-pandemic rule. I just want to highlight.
Nobody's been in our meetings before then.
It's something we used to do. It's very friendly, but no, it's been an everyday effort, because you don't want to leave someone in a corner. Some people are more vocal than the others as well. Some people ask for help, and that's great, but some other don't, and you have to be careful of not missing them out.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because some people are quite forthcoming with how they're feeling, with what's going on in their mind, and all the rest of it, and others are quite closed off. I know that I am one of those types of people that do close up. I don't talk that much about it. And when I do, I find it quite difficult. But once I do get to that point of opening up, it sort of flows very easily. But it's getting to that point. And I suppose when you've got a large team, you do have different characters. You do have different people. And they deal with things differently. And I suppose that's one thing to actually bear in mind with any large corporate or any larger group is when you have a large team like that, it's very, I can imagine it was quite difficult to be able to deal with everybody in their own way or
Yeah.
trying to accommodate to everybody in their own way. Because I can't imagine that would have been easy.
It is. And everybody has a particular situation at home as well, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
we see the aspect of work here, but other people in their family, in their immediate family, husbands, wife, parents, have lost their job because of the pandemic, or are sick or got affected directly by COVID. And you have to be appreciative of that, and to make sure that you're in touch, because again, it's very personal, but yet at the same time, it's affecting everything else. And
Yeah.
we've been really lucky to have everybody back on board, even gradually, but we have everyone on board, and we developed online events. I know the quiz, everybody had a quiz and nobody can send a quiz anymore, but there was more than that. It was more initiatives, more collaborative. We've done sub-project teams on different topics that we never had the time to tackle in another period of time, and working with different people as well, making sure that they had work groups of 5, 6, 7, 8 people that were reporting to a larger audience. So it's not only on a personal level, but it's also to make sure that people are challenged, not read the term, but they use for the right reason, that you challenge these business skills that you haven't used for a few months, and put something else in motion. So it's a combination of all that, the fun bit, the personal one-to-one, but also trying to find new ways of working, or different projects you won't have the time to do in the normal time that you can actually potentially roll out now.
No, I love that. That's such a good idea. And it's not something I hear too much about. It's usually this, team building, or, these quizzes and whatever else they come up with. But having projects where they have to engage that brain of theirs again, it just does that preparation for when they do come back, which I think is so important.
Exactly.
I suppose this actually brings me on to you, and I hope it just doesn't become too direct or personal. But of course, I've caught up a number of times throughout the pandemic. I know how hard you've been working, and of course you haven't been furloughed. You've had to keep on going. You've had to keep that grind, and so on and so forth. Again, I can't imagine it's been easy, but of course you've done it, and you've got through to the other side, or nearly the other side. And I suppose how has that affected you? Because I know, being in that office environment was a big part of what you did. And don't get me wrong, I know that Accor has always been very good with the flexible working side of things.
It's true.
But have your four walls become smaller and smaller and smaller every day? Or have you been actually okay?
Can't stand them anymore. I literally can't stand them. I was lucky enough to actually have to move during the pandemic, which is actually quite interesting. But I do not recommend it. But if you have to. But no, I'm never been a big fan of the working from home personally. But as you said, we always offered some level of flexibility to our teams in the past. Prior to the pandemic, we had a couple of days a week where you could work from home. I personally find it more difficult because I think the balance, the work-life balance, if there's still a work-life, is tilting on the work side, and it's never-ending. And it asks for some disciplines that, so you can always have that discipline, but it's there. That laptop is plugged in that room, and that you're ready to go to check when you hear that email coming in. But I think the most difficult for me is not really the four walls of my living room. It's more the fact that I'm not seeing people spontaneously. And while technology has helped tremendously, don't get me wrong, Teams, Zoom, Skype, whatever, Skype is dead, but everything else is been really useful. The proof is today, I can see you, but everything has to be planned. Or whenever you have that call, it's on top of another call, on top of an email, just before another appointment. And all of a sudden, your day is far more busy, far more structured for something that would have taken 2 minutes in the office.
Yes.
It would have been a quick questions over coffee. You would not have made the effort to go to see that person at the desk. You would just have waited for the moment you bumped into them in the corridor or at the coffee machine or somewhere else. And that was solved. And we reopened our offices on a voluntary basis a month ago now.
Right.
So I'm going there a few days a week, and because we limited the capacity, obviously, to maintain social distancing and everything, not everyone can go. So that's why we're doing only a few days. But I have to say, on day one, morning one, I managed to go through 4 points with someone I met up at a coffee machine. That would have been 4 emails or 3 calls or a meeting request and then a Teams chat and then a WhatsApp group.
Yeah,
that was done. That's all. And that level of connection and interaction, I think, is what I miss. I'm not saying it's should be the case for everyone. It's very personal. You ask me a personal question, I'll tell you. For me, this is what I miss. I'm really happy to hear my team working, because it get me feedback on how we're engaging with hotels and what are the feedbacks from the hotels. And the social aspect of it. We were talking a minute ago about anxiety and reaching out to people. That drinks after the office sometimes can unleash a lot of another level of relationship and can trigger more solutions, more efficiency than anything else, than just a team call. And other than that, obviously my one dealer is very happy with the pandemic.
I was going to say as well, for anybody that does watch this show anyway, they always comment on my background. They always see what's different and all the rest of it.
Of course.
I've got to ask, because somebody will, and they'll comment on it. What's the story behind the green rabbit behind you?
Well, it was a charity event I used to do in another life, in another company, in another continent, another country, and that was this artist. And I'm going to say it wrong. I'm sorry. Please don't shout. Don't say anything. It's an Austrian artist called Otmar Oll.
Okay.
Say that with a French accent, speaking in English. And and
so many complexities there.
I mean, certainly I'm not helping myself, but it does basically these big surfaces complete with these little animals, whether they're rabbits. It has a full range, even Labradors. There tend to be mega surfaces completed with very striking colors, and that's one of them. So it's a piece of art. It's a piece of art. That's talking
about animals. Mine have just started to go at it. Anyway. So I suppose moving on now to what's going on with Accor. What's going on with you guys as a whole? Because I know obviously there's been every time we catch up, there is always something going on. There is changes, there's things going on that are behind the scenes that are really exciting. So I don't obviously want to delve too deep, because I don't want to get you in any trouble. But I suppose in general terms, what's going on with you guys and what's going to be happening going forward?
No, you're right. We've been fairly dynamic in the industry, and there was a time where there was not a month where I'm not buying someone. So it's It's true, but that's also very exciting. I think a few things have happened to us. So obviously the pandemic, but not only the pandemic, because it's not only what the reason behind, but we restructure our corporate approach of things. So where we were before UK and Benelux as a region, where now the world is divided now in 8 regions, and we're reaching from Ireland to Russia now, and spread out across that region, hoping to standardize and replicate what's working in some regions and others to make sure we have more efficiency to our hotels. So that's very exciting, and new leaderships have come in, and that's very very good, really. More selfishly in the UK, and you would have heard that back at the end of last year, we announced that we made a joint venture with Ennismore and the Hoxton brands and Gleneagles and it's more than a joint venture. It's actually creating an entire lifestyle division, a standalone lifestyle division, and it will be headquartered in London. While all the details are in the work, what I can say is that we were regrouping all our lifestyle brands under one umbrella, and it's very exciting for us. How we will look into it, it's yet to be revealed in detail, but I mean, London is a great place to be at the moment. We have the Mondrian opening in a few months. That will be one of the flagship of the new structure. It is for us one of the things we're looking forward to. And also, as I said, we had a lot of new properties joining us throughout the pandemic. one of the big flagship we're opening in next week or the week after is the Fairmont in Dublin.
Yes, yeah.
Carlton House property. It's stunning property. We have Windsor Fairmont opening at the end of the year or over the summer rather. But also other properties in different scales. We converted a few Travelodge after the CVA they had, and a lot of other properties joining in the network in Oxford, Cambridge, everywhere. So, and beyond that in further Northern Europe. So that's exciting because, of course, there was a few properties that had financial issues and that had foreclosure. That's very sad, but overall the balance is actually very positive in that sense. So it's it gives us hope in our model, in the solutions we're providing to support the hotels and into the 41, 42 brands we have now.
Bloody hell.
Ask for one.
Where does it end?
Hours. Well, that's a very good question.
We'll not get into that one now because I think that'll take a bit longer. Obviously with so much growth, I mean, this episode will be coming out in about a few weeks' time. I can imagine with that growth, there's some potential recruitment opportunities for anybody that is looking for a job out there. Obviously, I guess they'll keep their fingers crossed and keep an eye on Accor's activities going forward. But fingers crossed, there might be opportunities in the future with so much growth and so much positivity. So obviously, I can't pin you on anything now, but I'm sure anybody that is watching this, they definitely need to keep their eyes open with Accor going forward, right?
Absolutely. As I said, we didn't have our team impacted by redundancies at all. Yet we had some people leaving naturally because for personal choices, move of countries, and also, as I said, we have more hotels, so we need to service them. So we are in the phase of restarting recruiting very soon. And yes, very exciting because we will have all levels available. We have new challenges, new market definitions, and because we restricted the entire corporate approach, we even have more, I would say, means behind what we want to achieve, and that's potentially one of the biggest success of this period. Yeah, definitely is.
Massively. Well, of course, I just want to say a massive thank you to you for taking the time out, because I know how incredibly busy you are and how many hats you put on during the day.
I may have canceled a couple of times. I do apologize.
That's all right. But no, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know that for a lot of people listening to somebody with your perspective and where you are within that sort of larger brand environment, they're going to find it a really valuable sort of conversation. So I want to say big thank you to you for taking the time out. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And you always are the best dressed person I know in this industry. So I know you can't wait to meet up for another meeting and get that trilby out in your full suit.
Listen, they're all in the dry cleaning, being delivered by the end of this week. I can't wait. I'm not sure I can fit in them. That's another story, but I'll just say that's the new trend. It has to be skinny suit.
I was going to say very skinny suits. Yeah. That's what we'll call them. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Before you head off, please make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you're following myself on Instagram, where we are incredibly active, where we do update it every single week on who we've got coming up on the channel. And of course, don't forget to follow myself and Geoffrey on LinkedIn. But for now, thanks very much for tuning in, and check out who's on next week's episode now.